We're obviously marketing around all of our players, but I think Caitlin's lifting everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Our arenas are packed, our viewership. I mean, this is a key part of why I was hired, is to look at how to bring in new viewers, new fans, the demographic. We're one of the most diverse demographics in sports, both on the court and now our viewership.
Yeah. It rocks, by the way, when you're in the stadium. We went and loved it.
I think that I have a huge passion for the game of basketball. I have a huge passion for women's leadership. And I think, I'm really excited to be entering into the WNBA commissioner role as a real platform for all of these players, the owners, the whole basketball ecosystem, quite frankly, to drive it, to the next level.
It seems like a lot of them are kind of being told what to do. There are other people pulling the strings above them.
And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid.
Clearly, the biggest opportunities for the league are to enhance the fan experience, the player experience, for there to be a recognition of how important a time in women's leadership and the W's role in that. So this is just such a great time for everyone to rally around these WNBA players, attend the games, sponsor the WNBA, use it as part of your women's leadership platform. I think there's so much potential upside. I'm very excited.
Everything reached a boiling point last night. The situation the league has allowed to unfold finally exploded, and now they're left scrambling. The phrase that's dominated online culture, "mess around and find out," couldn't be more fitting. That's exactly what's happening in the WNBA right now. Leadership ignored the warnings. They dismissed the signs. And now, the consequences are undeniable. With the All-Star Game set in Indianapolis, the home of the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, it should have been a celebratory moment. Instead, it's turning into a disaster. Clark, who was expected to be the face of the weekend, may not even participate due to what looks like a re-aggravated groin injury. She's been battling this issue for months, and last night, things took a turn for the worse. Refereeing in the league has been nothing short of chaotic.
If the WNBA is not rigged, they're doing a great job of making it look like it's rigged. Because if you guys didn't see the referees literally, they made a bad call. And if you guys have ever played sports, you know that when a referee knows they've screwed up, they will do everything they can to not talk to the players.
The officiating, rather than protecting star players, has only fueled the fire. Leadership, particularly the commissioner, has insisted the officiating is fine. But how can that be true when one of the biggest stars has been getting knocked around constantly? Clark's pain was evident during the game. One moment she was trying to make a simple pass, and the next, she was doubled over, grabbing the same area that's caused her problems before. And after that, she collapsed to the court and pressed her head against the padding under the basket, overwhelmed. The image of her sitting on the bench with a towel draped over her head was heartbreaking. This isn't just about an injury, it's about a player being failed repeatedly by the system. She's become the centerpiece of the league, yet has been treated like anything but. The resentment from some of the players is palpable. Instead of celebrating her success, there's been jealousy, pettiness, and hostility, and the league's unwillingness to protect her has turned what should have been a triumphant rise into something more troubling.
She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform, so she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
What makes this worse is the timing. The WNBA is negotiating a major media rights deal worth hundreds of millions. The networks involved are paying close attention. If they see the only player drawing viewership constantly sidelined or put in harm's way, they'll have questions, and they should. This kind of injury, this kind of chaos, reflects poorly on everyone involved. Television executives didn't sign up to see the league's biggest draw get hurt time and time again. If they're putting up nearly $270 million annually, they expect some accountability. This is not a minor bump in the road. It's a major public relations and business crisis. It's a failure of leadership from top to bottom, and people are noticing. Clark's family has seen this coming. Her brother took to social social media to criticize the officiating, echoing what many fans and analysts have been saying for months. Her father, too, raised concerns early in the season. The warning signs were there from the beginning, and yet nothing changed.
Well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black.
The physical toll on Clark has been obvious. This isn't just about a bump or a bruise. According to one doctor who specializes in athletic injuries, groin strains, particularly those involving the adductor, are notoriously tricky. They don't heal easily, they're easy to re-aggravate, and they're central to nearly every movement a basketball player makes. Even when you think you're healed, you're not. In leagues like the NFL, these types of injuries are closely monitored, carefully treated, and often kept from getting worse. But here, it's as if Clark was thrown to the wolves. The amount of punishment she's taken borders on reckless. No clear protections, no league-wide response, just excuse after excuse from the people in charge. Some fans might say it's just a physical league, but that argument falls apart under scrutiny. Physical doesn't mean reckless. Physical doesn't mean endangering players.
What actually happens is that we have a competition committee for stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that competition committee is the committee that dictates the state of the game. Officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls. The referees who were refereeing the Fever and Liberty game, that one of the referees seems like his only experience was actually refereeing high school games.
And this isn't just about Clark either. There are other players out there taking hits that would have never flown in past eras of professional basketball. There's a difference between competitive toughness and uncontrolled aggression. Back in the day, teams like the Pistons were called dirty for a reason. They forced the league to step in, to make changes, to protect players. And here we are again decades later facing the same problem, but without the urgency to fix it. The result? Players like Clark breaking down on the court, frustrated, hurt, and left wondering if they're next. She's not just tired physically, the emotional weight is starting to show. You can see it on her face. There's no rhythm in her game, no spark. She's out there trying to perform, but nothing's clicking. And now, her presence at the All-Star game is up in the air. For many fans, that event was the reason to tune in, to show up, to care.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value.
People planned vacations around that weekend. They bought tickets, booked flights, made memories in advance. And now, all of that is hanging by a thread. What should have been a celebration might turn into an awkward, hollow event. And make no mistake, if fans start pulling out, if the stands look empty, it won't be because of Clark. It'll be because of what's been allowed to happen around her. The revenue hit could be massive, and fans aren't the only ones noticing. Networks, sponsors, executives, they're all watching, and they're asking questions. Why hasn't anyone stepped in? Why hasn't the league done more to protect its biggest asset? At this point, the commissioner's inaction is impossible to ignore. There's a sense that she's become irrelevant in her own league, silent when she should have been decisive, absent when she should have led.
The refereeing in that WNBA is the worst in any sports. I see high school fucking basketball refs call better games than these WNBA refs. I'm being serious. There's a real problem. You have too many people in the league coming out and saying the refereeing sucks. And it does suck. Watching a game is so horrible sometimes. It's like, oh my God, do these refs know that they are like paid to make good calls?
And it's not just disappointing, it's damaging. If change is going to happen, it needs to come from the top. Adam Silver, despite his own controversies, now seems like the more competent option. That's how bad things have gotten. A league that once had the chance to grow, to stand on its own, is now teetering under mismanagement and poor decisions. The situation has gone beyond just one injury. It's become a symbol, a reflection of a league at a crossroads. Do they continue on this path, ignoring warning signs and hoping things get better? Or do they finally acknowledge that what's happening is unsustainable? Clark deserves better. So do the fans. And so does the sport itself. This isn't about drama or controversy. This is about a pattern of neglect, a pattern that's driving away interest, talent, and credibility. And now the consequences are coming full circle. Fans are walking away, players are speaking up, and every mistake that's been swept under the rug is back in the spotlight. The leadership has two choices: address the situation head on, or watch as everything they've built starts to fall apart. Because the truth is, no player should carry this kind of burden alone, not when the league depends so heavily on her to succeed. And as she sits on that bench, towel over her head, the silence from leadership speaks louder than any whistle blown on the court. What we're witnessing isn't just an injury, it's the unraveling of trust. Trust between fans and the league, between players and those responsible for their safety, and between viewers and the narrative that this league is growing stronger. If the WNBA truly wants to thrive, it has to reckon with what's happened on its watch. Caitlin Clark isn't some fringe player with occasional media buzz. She's the draw, the ticket, the reason thousands are suddenly watching WNBA games they once ignored. When a player like that is left exposed physically, emotionally, and professionally, it sends a message far louder than any press release. Her injury history isn't random. It's the result of repeated collisions, hard fouls, unchecked aggression, and a culture that seems to accept it as normal. If she was being protected the way top NBA talent is, we wouldn't be here. But that's not the case. Instead, she's become a punching bag on the court, literally and figuratively. The physicality is consistent, but the protection isn't. There are no consequences for players taking cheap shots, no standards upheld by referees, and no accountability coming from the commissioner's office. It's as if the league is waiting for the next bad headline before deciding to act. And now, the headlines are piling up. Reports of her frustration, her fourth injury in 3 months, her teammates bracing for life without her again. This isn't how you build a league, it's how you weaken one. Even the timing couldn't be worse. Right in the middle of negotiations over the collective bargaining agreement and a lucrative media deal, the people writing the checks are paying attention, and they're starting to ask themselves, is this league ready for prime time? Or is it too unstable to invest in? Those questions shouldn't exist. Not with the amount of talent on the floor, not with the spotlight finally starting to shine. And yet, here we are, one injury away from an all-star weekend losing its meaning, one moment away from fans giving up entirely, and the silence from leadership continues. While Clark winces in pain and drapes a towel over her head, the people at the top keep pretending everything is fine, as if the headlines aren't screaming otherwise, as if the empty seats and canceled plans don't matter. But they do. They always have. The game she got hurt in, her team still won, but nobody's talking about the score. They're talking about the image of a star player, hunched over, frustrated, beaten down, and left to recover while the league stays quiet. And what makes it even more painful is that this didn't have to happen. Her father warned them. Her coaches have warned them. Even the broadcasters have started to question the officiating. But nothing changed. The officials aren't just missing calls, they're failing to enforce basic standards. And Clark's not the only one suffering. Other players have taken hits too. But Clark's status as the face of the league makes her a lightning rod. Every foul she takes becomes amplified. Every injury becomes a statement. And the league's refusal to respond makes it complicit. Fans see it. Sponsors see it. Broadcasters see it. They're all watching how this moment is handled, or more accurately, how it's ignored. Meanwhile, the athletes on the court are left to navigate the chaos. Some will keep pushing through. Others might not be so lucky. But the fact that Clark, with all her visibility, continues to be targeted with rough play and minimal protection says everything. When you let that happen to your biggest star, you tell the world what your priorities really are. Right now, the WNBA is at a critical crossroads. This could have been the year they turned the page, embraced growth, and built a new era. But instead of celebrating that progress, they're caught in a storm of their own making. And it's not just one bad call, it's a pattern of neglect. Even diehard fans are starting to turn away, not because they don't care, but because they care care too much. They wanted this league to succeed. They believed in the talent. They were ready to support something special. And what did they get in return? A league that can't even guarantee basic safety for its top player. No amount of promotional videos or tweets will fix that. Only action can. And so far, action has been in short supply. Clark's frustration on the court is visible now. She's out of rhythm. She's playing through pain. She's trying to stay focused while carrying the weight of the league on her shoulders. That kind of pressure is unsustainable. And unless something changes soon, the consequences could get worse. And what happens if Clark decides she's had enough? If she pulls out of the All-Star game altogether? That's not just a loss for Indiana. It's a disaster for the league's image, and one they can't afford. They've already burned through goodwill. Fans aren't just disappointed, they're angry. They feel like they've been misled, like the league wasn't prepared for this level of attention and scrutiny. And they're not wrong. Even now, the absence of a clear statement, a decisive move, a public commitment to fixing the officiating, it's all too telling. And the longer that silence stretches, the louder the outrage grows. This isn't just about injuries, it's about leadership, about priorities, about whether the people running this league understand what's at stake. Because make no mistake, the future of the WNBA is being shaped in real time, and right now, it's not a good look. Caitlin Clark's situation has forced the WNBA into the spotlight, but not in the way they had hoped. Instead of headlining positive momentum, she's become the cautionary tale. The league now faces the very real possibility that its biggest star may not take the court for its marquee event, and if that happens, the ripple effect will be immediate and unforgiving. Tickets that once sold with ease may now go unclaimed. Hotels and restaurants that were counting on a boost from All-Star Weekend could see a sharp drop. Fans who invested in the experience, some traveling across the country, are now reconsidering their plans. This isn't just bad PR, it's a financial blow. And what's worse, it was preventable. This isn't some freak accident or unavoidable circumstance. This is the result of months, if not years, of avoidance, of failing to act, of pretending everything was under control. But it's not. It hasn't been. And the damage is starting to show in every headline and every social media post expressing disappointment. Clark's injury was just the final straw. Her presence in this league has always been more than just statistics or highlight reels. She represents hope, growth, visibility, and now she also represents what happens when leadership fails to step up and do what's right. It shouldn't have come to this. The league had time to address the increasingly physical nature of play. They had time to tighten officiating standards. They had time to reinforce protection for the players who were drawing the most heat. But none of that happened, and now they're left reacting too little, too late. The frustration in Clark's body language, in her posture, in her every movement on the court, it tells the story. It's not just about pain, it's about exhaustion, about being let down, about knowing you've given everything, and the system still isn't built to protect you. She isn't asking for special treatment. She's asking for fairness, consistency, a level of care that should be standard for any professional athlete, especially one that's done more for the league's popularity than entire marketing campaigns ever could. And fans notice. They're not blind to what's going on. They see the fouls that go uncalled, the hostility from opposing players, the silence from leadership, and they're responding not just with words, but with actions. Canceled tickets, refund requests, social media backlash, all of it adding up. What's happening here is bigger than one injury. It's a moment of reckoning, a point in time where the league must choose what kind of future it wants. One built on stars like Clark, nurtured, supported, elevated, or one where stars burn out under the pressure and mismanagement. There's still time to pivot, to make things right, but that window is closing fast. The public has already started to form its opinion, and unless leadership steps forward in a meaningful way, that opinion will harden. The damage will become permanent. Right now, all eyes are on the commissioner's office, on the league's response or lack of it, on whether they continue to downplay the issue or finally take control. But so far, the silence has been deafening. It's not just Caitlin Clark who deserves better. It's every player, every coach, every fan who believed in the promise of what this league could become. They've invested time, money, and emotion into this journey, and now they're wondering if it was all for nothing. Because what's the point of building a rising star if you can't protect her? What's the point of drawing millions of new viewers if you alienate them within a season? What's the point of a spotlight if the league keeps stepping into it for the wrong reasons? These are questions only the WNBA can answer, but they'd better do it soon. Because if Clark doesn't step onto that court for the All-Star game, the message is clear. Not just that she's hurt, but that the league failed her. And once that perception takes hold, it won't be easy to shake. It'll linger in every article, every interview, every broadcast. It'll define the season, maybe even the next few years. That's how much weight this moment carries. It's not enough to hope things work themselves out. Hope doesn't heal injuries. Hope doesn't fix refereeing. Hope doesn't stop fans from walking away. Only action does. And until that action comes, the WNBA is stuck in a cycle, one where progress and pain seem permanently linked. Caitlin Clark deserves a league that fights for her as hard as she fights on the court. A league that doesn't wait for headlines to make changes. A league that values its players, not just for what they bring in ratings, but for who they are. If that league doesn't show up now, it may never get another chance.